that the name that God reveals to Moses is derived from the Hebrew verb to be. So in essence, when Moses asked God, "What is your name?" God responded to him by saying, "I am the one who is." And you think about that, Moses is about to go to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians who are worshiping all these different pagan gods, these deities, and each of these gods has its own proper name. If you've read the Old Testament, you might be familiar with some of the gods of the Old Testament, right? The false gods in the ancient Near East, like Molech and Baal and Asherah, right? Like these gods that appear sometimes in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, right, there were all these different so-called gods, just like there are today. And when Moses asked God, "God, what is your name?" God said, "I'm the one who actually has existence. I am who I am. I am the true God." And throughout the history of the Christian church, Christians have derived one of the most important attributes of God from that very story, that scene, and it's probably an attribute that you've never even heard of. It's the attribute of divine aseity. Have you ever heard that word before? No? Divine aseity. One of the most important attributes of God. It's from the Latin ase, meaning from himself. It's the attribute of God's from himselfness. That is to say that God has self-existence. He's completely independent. He doesn't need anything or anyone. Now, why bring that up in a sermon about prayer? Well, because the first thing that Jesus taught us to pray, teaches you and me to pray, is, "Father in heaven, hallowed be your name." And insofar as we have a low or defective view of God and his name and how he's revealed himself to us in Scripture, we cannot set his name apart in our lives. We can't sanctify his name. And in the very revelation of God's name in the Bible, God tells us that he has existence independent of us.